Today on Life of Dad, we are talking about siblings fighting and buffets. Here on Life of Dad, we discuss two topics on each episode, one heavy and one light. And then at the end, somehow, it all ties together. Welcome to Life of Dad. Here at Life of Dad, on the podcast, we have three dads talking about two different topics. One serious topic and one not so serious topic. Today, the topics are how to deal with your kids fighting, so siblings fighting, and buffets. I'm Tommy Riles, original founder of Life of Dad. I'm here with David Guest, my co-founder, our good friend Josh Huber, and we have a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into it right away. I know Josh has been waiting to talk about buffets since at least a couple episodes back. Josh, buffets, let's party.
We've been going back and forth on buffets, and every time we start to talk about this, we start to get into it. We're like, let's just keep shelving this. Let's keep shelving this. Let's just do it later. Let's not bring it up because we don't want to lose the magic of buffets. But I'm going to go out and say that there are trade-offs to everything. And one of the good trade-offs about COVID-19 ruining our lives is that buffets will probably be a thing of the past after this. Like you'll start to see them slowly, like they will turn into this. They will slowly just start inching away,
Josh,
out of our life.
Josh, you seem happy about this. So when was your last buffet?
I'm not gonna. I know I'm forgetting something, but it's probably a Chinese buffet of some kind.
That was one of my first buffets ever. So in high school, me and my buddies went to Bobo's Inn. You guys have probably heard of it. It's on Route 23 in New Jersey. And
that's a great name right there.
Bobo's Inn was, remember as a 17-year-old or 16-year-old, there's nothing better than a buffet. It's unbelievable. You can go somewhere and there's every food item you could possibly want, and it's Chinese food.
And as much as you want.
Of that is and then the prices were. The price was maybe $9 a head or something like that. It was crazy cheap. So there we were eating for hours. Bobo's Inn, Chinese buffets. David, buffets, what's up?
Well, I think you have to be strategic when you hit the buffet because everyone has made the mistake of going too heavy on the first item or two in the buffet, and you're like, oh, look at that. Look at those roasted potatoes. And you get like 2 fat scoops of those potatoes and put them on your plate. You're like, all right. And then you're down to the 4th, 5th, or 7th item in the buffet. And you're like, oh man, I went way overboard on these potatoes. Like this is taking up way too much real estate on my plate here.
So David, you're saying the pro move is to avoid the starch from the beginning. Is that what you're saying?
Either that, or I think just right off the bat, you just go 2 plates. I think you find either a child or someone you can trick into following you along the buffet, and you just start pounding both plates with everything you can, knowing that you are not going to stop eating until you're very uncomfortable.
Or here's another strategy: just avoid the whole thing and keep going down Route 23 to find somewhere else to eat that is suitable. How about that? That's a whole. We could just keep going down right past Bobo's on Route 23 and hit up Wendy's. I just thought of that.
That suggestion is denied. No.
Go to Wendy's. You'll be much better off than Chinese food buffets are. I think for the most part. Oh wait, you know what? No, I was going to say I thought I went to Cracker Barrel and they had a buffet, which would be more kind of your American buffet style, which is usually more breakfast foods and stuff like that. But yeah, it's probably the last time I went to one was like a breakfast in some Howard Johnson hotel somewhere. It's always disappointing. Like they've gotten, I don't know if it's like I've become more discerning, but over the years I've been finding they've been getting worse and worse in the food quality.
Well, Josh, did my grandmother ever invite you to one of the buffets in her hometown? Because when she was living in Leisure Knoll in her later years, also in New Jersey, the only time listen, she was.
I've never been to New Jersey, so.
You've never,
I've been once. Never mind.
You never got the invite. All right. So
sorry.
She was a depression baby, didn't want to spend money. So the only time they would take us out to eat was another Chinese buffet right near Leisure Knoll, there in Camden County, New Jersey, and that is a senior citizens haven. Like you go in there and they have a senior special, going at 4:00 to a Chinese buffet on a Tuesday. it's
I can't think of
$45 a
anything more
head. It's all
depressing.
seniors, all workers. It's crazy.
I'm sad hearing that. Like I really.
I'm going to just counterpoint everything you say today, Josh, because I am so in on that situation. If there was like a nursing home field trip to a buffet, I am hopping on that bus immediately and getting in there. That sounds incredible.
I just it's there. I'm not going to say that there haven't been times I am totally indulged in and gone buck wild on a buffet. I've done it. I really have. I tend to have a problem with like weighing my food and then paying for it. That always sits really weird with me. I just have a really hard time placing my food on a scale and then that turning into dollars that I have to pay.
Well, something's wrong right there. What type of I know some places weigh it, but
that's not
some of them do it. Yeah, you're talking all you can eat.
I think we're talking about an all you can eat buffet.
Oh, the upper echelon of buffet. I'm sorry.
Of course, yeah, absolutely not. Well, I mean, actually, I haven't really thought about that in a while. But you have the weighed plate buffet, which I always think more of like something in the city, like in maybe Chicago or New York or something, where they have to weigh the food or something before you pay for it. But then you really have to be strategic because you have to think of the weight of every food you put on there. You can put one giant sweet potato just to give it a chance, and that ends up costing you like $1.75 or something.
Yeah, it can totally blow you out. Like you got to be careful.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, weighing a salad that makes me sweat. Like if you get a salad, shouldn't cost more than $8. I don't care how many pinto beans you put on it, right?
Well, question for you guys. I think the dressing would be the more heavy thing out of all that stuff, but. Okay, if you had your choice between the buffets, there's your Chinese buffet, right? Which is like the kind of the one that we're all thinking here. I think
Bobo's in Route 23.
Sure, Bobo's and Route 23, or your, Bob Evans, like what do you call it, like American breakfast buffet. I feel like there's one more, like maybe like an American style. Like the Vegas kind of buffet.
Yes, exactly. You have the Vegas buffet. Every type of food, or the hometown buffet, which is quite a chain, where it's just on where you can eat anything you want. Every type of food is out there, replenished on a 15-minute basis. Incredible.
I personally, like I said, I find them pretty gross, but I could see myself being like, I'll bite the bullet on this to take kids there if we're looking at this from a dad angle, because kids never want to eat anything, especially if you take them to Wendy's. They're like, oh, well, I wanted fried chicken or something, and you're like, oh god. So I took them. So if you take them to a buffet, though, this is the upside of it. You can be like, whatever you want, man. Go to town. You want some shrimp or an egg roll? I don't know, whatever. Some pasta.
Usually the kids don't want the shrimp. I don't know about your children. Usually they're looking right at the soft serve machine that is at the end of every buffet. The soft serve machine with the sprinkle and
brilliant and
toppings. That's your carrot at the end of the buffet, making them eat things.
That's true. Yeah, they usually they just want to make that stuff themselves. That's what that's all about. By then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my kids are really particular eaters, so something about bringing them to a buffet. What would a kid's price be on a buffet like we're speaking of? Is it like $8 a kid? Is it more than that?
Well, here's the thing you can do, Tom. You could just, if it's an all-you-can-eat kind of thing, you just get yourself a big old plate and ask them what they want, and then just fill up for yourself. And divvy up. Usually you buy the plate. That's what they're going to do to you. So. Yeah. Look, I'm just saying there's a way around this. It's not going to matter because the buffet stuff is gonzo. There's no way we're doing this thing.
Oh, I think that would not fool the employees who work there. Be like, oh yeah, I'm here with these 4 kids, but they're not going to eat. It's just me. They're just going to be hanging out.
Go there when it's busy.
Yeah, they'll be like, sure, go ahead, buddy.
Bobo's after 4:30, Route 23. It's banging, dude. You can easily get away with, sneaking a couple fried shrimp in your pocket and bringing them over to the table.
Well, I'm gonna save. I have a related story to that, but I'm gonna save that because we're gonna switch now to our other topic, which is siblings fightings and how you deal with it. And Dave, why don't you kick us off there?
Siblings fighting. Well, I guess the well-known knowledge out there is that when kids fight, they're actually bonding. So if that's the case, me and my brother and sister should be the most bonded people on the planet because no day went by without, I was the oldest. So it was kind of like my daily duties to go bother the hell out of them every single day. And I never took a day off. I was very proud of myself. Now I see the same thing with my two kids. And now I see it from a different point of view. I don't want them to fight. I want everyone to be happy.
Right. Now, so what's the age difference between you and your younger sister and brother?
I'm the oldest, and my
Right.
sister is nearly exactly 3 years younger than me.
Okay.
To almost the same week of our birthdays.
All right.
And then my brother is exactly 3 years younger than her.
Wow.
So my father is an engineer, so we kind of figured this was all very planned. He had it probably set on some kind of calendar date. He's like, oh, time to make another child.
T85 calculator out.
He did, yeah. So he had this graph,
Yeah.
But
we must conceive now. Yeah.
Yes.
So
to the bedroom. Time to conceive. Yes.
To the room. To the math room. He took her to his office.
That's right. So I was the oldest, so that gives me probably a different perspective on the whole fighting thing because I was bigger than the other two. If you're younger, it probably sucks. And then I do remember, this is a very vivid memory for me because I just would constantly just bother my brother, not in a way that I was trying to hurt his feelings or anything, but it was just fun and funny and and it was out of love. But then I remember one day he just got pissed and he went crazy and just had enough and he snapped and I was like, whoa, what's happening? He's he was fighting back hard, with his full passion, and he just drilled my head under the headboard of the bed, and he just kicked my ass basically for about a minute. And I was like, oh. And then I remember this day clearly, and he just got up and he's like, yeah, and he just locked off. And I was like, shit, my little brother just kicked my ass. That sucks.
So how old were you then, roughly? If he was 6 years younger.
I guess
I
was
24,
about
probably. Right?
Yeah,
I was born 18.
I was 41, and he was 35.
It was right after college graduation, so 21, 22. Yeah.
Well, so I had three sisters. I have an older sister, and I have two younger sisters, and
you get your
something about being the middle child. What's that?
You got your ass kicked all the time for sure.
I didn't really get my ass kicked, but there was something about being the middle child. I always picked on my sister. I would always pick on my sister, the other middle sister. So she was 4 years younger than me, and then my youngest sister was 7 years younger than me. And her and I got along really well. That was a big enough age difference that it just seemed that we were buddies for whatever reason. So she was probably my closest sister growing up. But yeah, I really butted heads with my middle sister. And, and it's the little things. I always gave, actually, I guess both of my younger sisters a hard time over Sour Patch Kids. I don't think I allowed either of them to have a yellow Sour Patch Kid for maybe the first 12, 13 years of their life. I took all the yellow Sour Patch Kids. I did not give any to them. They were all for me, and I would not share. And that tore them apart.
So you're just like, these are mine. I get the yellow ones because you like those ones the most? Is that what this is?
I mean,
or is this just
there's no question that the yellow ones are the best ones. So I needed to have all the yellow ones in every different scenario, and I did. And,
did you convince them? Did you go full villain and convince them that they would not like the yellow ones?
No, I think they had them a few times, and they knew that they wanted them. So that made it just devastating to them that I would never give them one. I remember one family car trip, and this.
2 Bobos on Route 23, of course.
This carried on until I was probably 16 going on this road trip with the family. We were camping and I would not let them have a yellow one. So I always gave particularly the middle sister a hard time. I don't know. But now I hate, like David said, I hate seeing when my kids are fighting. So
I don't like it either. It tears at me in a weird way. But I will say, as long as they can. It's weird how quickly they can escalate into violence. They'll just be arguing, and then all of a sudden they're fighting each other. And my kids I have a daughter who's 6, a son who's 4. They're like the best friends ever. In fact, today I was thinking, I'm so happy that they have each other to play with, because they just play with each other all day.
Right.
Like, they play family, and they're just all day talking with each other. They're great, but every now and then they fight. My wife likes to immediately step in and be like, stop bugging each other or this and that. And usually I can tell when it's going to get bad, and I'll just say, like, look, we got to separate for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do sometimes take a like Switzerland during World War II stance where
Sure.
I'm like, look, this isn't that bad. Figure this out. More often than not, they can't figure it out. And they just
Right.
kind of hold resentment towards each other, and then it blows up later. But I do like to see them battle it out a little bit, just because they shouldn't get used to like an adult coming in and fixing every situation for them. Like, because then they're always looking for a third party
Right.
to mediate some argument. And I don't, like I said, once it breaks out into this violence, I'll step in and separate them as best I can. But the other thing I do not like, though, and is tattletales.
Oh,
we've
and
talked
that's
about
what
this before.
And that's what I was just going to say right now, because, I guess that's a great point. I never really let them fight too much, but I find that they'll immediately go into tattletaling, right? And that's probably what you're about to say, but one little thing and the other one's running to us to tattletale, right? And
the reason I don't like tattletaling is because they make me pick a side, which I don't like.
Yeah.
And more often than not, whoever's tattletaling could have a pretty good grievance. Like, oh, they did this, this, and that. I'm like, look, you're making me choose a side now, and I'm not going to do that. So if they come at me with the tattletale, I'm like, I usually say, okay, then just separate. I don't want to hear any more of it. Just separate for at least 10 minutes. You go in your room, you go do something else. Which is weird, because every time I suggest that, they're like, no, we want to continue battling each other. Like, we want you to pick a side. I'm like, I'm not going to pick a side ever. And my wife told me that she was a big tattletale growing up. I know we've talked about this before in a previous episode, but
yeah, you told us. Yep.
It bears repeating. Like, my wife was a huge tattletale. She was encouraged to be a tattletale. And now she has like her kids, when they tattletale, she's like, I hate it when they do this. I'm like, yeah, because you have to pick a side, man. And neither of them are right. You're getting like each side of the story, which isn't right. You know what I mean?
There's no, well, and then it also comes to like, when there's a big fight like that, like I don't, and I've been through many of them now. We have 3 kids, but what is the right way to reprimand them? I still don't know, because like you said, you're hearing 2 different sides of the story. So who was truly wrong? Probably both in most scenarios, right? But then one of them might have gotten physical, where it turned into a push or a shove or a trip or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's hard to figure out the right thing to do, how to break these things up. I struggle with it all the time. If I punish one, then that one's upset that I didn't punish the other one, and maybe it was the other one's fault, and they
you could
did something that caused the other one to erupt.
You could be committing some great injustice. You have no idea. And there have been times that I busted, like, for instance, my daughter being the aggressor. And she's really good about being like, no, you didn't see what happened before. I'm like, I watched you go over there and jump on his back as he was quietly playing by himself. And you're bugged that he's not playing with you, so you just went over there and wrecked his whole scene. And, well, before that, you didn't see when he kicked me, 3 years earlier, and I can't get stuck in the details.
So we have a 4-year-old girl, and then a 8-year-old son, and then a 10-year-old daughter. Now, it's the 4-year-old and the 10-year-old that are at it from the time they wake up until the time they go to sleep. My son, somehow, he just kind of floats by in the middle, and he gets along well with the older one, he gets along well with the younger one. But the oldest one and the youngest one, and it's 6 years in between them, so it doesn't seem like a very fair fight. But I will say, my 4-year-old, since she's been in constant battle mode pretty much her entire life, she's the toughest kid you can imagine. Yeah. Like, I've heard stories that at her preschool, like there might be a little fight amongst a couple of the girls there, but it doesn't even faze her if someone like says, "Oh, you can't play with us today." She's like, whatever, and she just walks somewhere else and plays with someone else, right? Because she's gotten that at home, and she's moved past it. So in some ways, I think this fighting is helping her.
Josh, do you think the order that you were born in your family has affected your personality?
Yeah, I was it's weird. I have an older brother who is I have an older half brother who's 10 years older than I am, and then I have a younger brother who is 2 years younger. And by the time my older brother, but by the time I was really cognizant of him being there, he had left for college, and I'd see him here and there. And then my younger brother and I were essentially like, we had same friends. We were going to the same schools, so we were always pretty much linked in together, and we always battled it out. But he was always much more passive than I was, like in terms of like he would never start trouble. I was usually the one who was kind of like digging around and more the instigator. But yeah, it's weird. I'm kind of the middle child, but I'm not, like, so I'm also the older one. I'm in a weird gray line there. And I think that there's definitely a difference between the oldest, the middle, the youngest. The youngest can be either, like Tom, in your case, super tough just because they're so used to kind of being slighted that they built this good shell, or they're like just super big babies who are constantly being like just
my
given
daughter
everything is it both
covered. Oh yeah, she's got she's super tough, but she's totally totally can act like a baby too, and crying, whining, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Dave, what about you? So all right, so you told how you grew up fighting with the kids. Are there similarities between how your kids get along now, you think, and how you did growing up?
Let's see. So I was the oldest of three. So yeah, I always felt like my parents were way more strict with me than they were with my other two siblings. And I was pretty rebellious and independent, so I was always pushing it. I feel like I sort of like chopped down the path of the highway for them with my constant battling and pushing the limits and, wanting to do everything, that by the time they came around, my parents were just exhausted. So especially my youngest brother, they were just like, sure. And then I remember, being outraged. It's like, what? Like, I could only go out one night on the weekend.
The other thing I want to touch on with buffets is, this is probably a topic for another show. Have you ever been on a cruise, Tom?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been on a few of them.
Do you like cruises?
We had a good time growing up going on cruises, I must say. So as a kid on a cruise, it's a lot of fun.
I imagine as a kid it would be fun.
Yeah.
As an adult, and cruises are probably another thing. I've never been on one, and I have absolutely no desire whatsoever to go on one. Like I can't imagine.
You've never been on one?
Oh no, not even close. Like I can't think of something I would rather not do.
Now, has that always been your take, or has that been obviously strengthened over the past 6 months, right?
I think if I was a kid, yeah, it's been much more ingrained over the last couple of months, for sure, because of the whole COVID thing. And basically, what is a cruise but a floating buffet? Let's get down to it. I have some priors that are built into this.
100%, yeah. Mass-produced food, the same food on each deck of the
yeah, and it's like a big excuse to just eat all day, which, hey, I'm all for. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if we could put Bobo's on Route 23 on a big ship and put it in the middle of the Caribbean,
you'd go.
There we go.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I was a kid, I think it'd be a lot of fun. As an adult now, no way. You couldn't pay me to do it. I just couldn't be stuck on a ship in the middle of Gulf of Mexico or whatever, eating buffet. It just, I don't know. I'm probably mixing topics here a little bit. And I have a feeling that
that's
Dave
fair. I think they blend, because when we were talking about buffets at the very beginning of the show, I certainly thought about cruise ships when there were a few different. Like
it's synonymous, right? Like
when you say shrimp, like, dude, the people get so excited to see shrimp. And I don't like shrimp personally myself, but there's long lines for the shrimp at the buffet or the lobster. Dude, if there's lobster at buffet, people spend like $100 a plate, which I don't quite understand.
See, here's a line for. I don't like lines much. Like if I see a line, I'm like, whatever's at the end of that, whatever's at the end of that line, I don't need it that bad.
Yeah,
like I'm just like, nope, I don't need it. There's nothing that important to stand in line, especially shrimp. Like
right. Lobster.
Look,
You
I
waiting on
like
lobster line?
I like lobster and everything, but it's always overpriced. Like you're from the East Coast, dude. Like lobsters are the cockroaches of the sea.
Right.
And it's always, look, there's just lobster over here. I'm like, okay, great. But I know that they're in huge abundance. And
Sure.
for some reason, they cost like tens of hundreds of, they're so expensive, dude. And
Right.
I just can't wrap because last time we had to ship them out and everything. But I like lobster and everything. I like all this stuff. But come on, man. Seriously? Like a line out the door, it's usually like some inferior gross stuff that's like, it smells like mercury and I don't know. It's pretty gross.
So I'm trying to figure out how to tie, because at the end of each episode we like to tie together the two topics, right? And I've been thinking through this, but I don't have a clear tie-in yet. So I'm going to give you the first stab. How are you tying together buffets and kids fighting?
Well, I think going back to what we said before with the idea of a buffet when I was a kid was pretty great. It's like the idea, like you can eat everything you want. I think that because I think that there are times that I have seen my kid, it's rare, that I see them, if I take my Switzerland roll, I see them kind of come to an agreement. They've done it before. And it's usually a very loose, kind of treaty more than anything. Like, look, let's move ahead and let's try to keep this together. I think if your kid, I think that should be rewarded. Like it really should. So if your kids are getting into fights and they actually work out something on their own without your help and without you coming in, you should reward them to the most disgusting buffet
That's
in Jersey that you can find. They earned it. Give them at the end, and at the end of it, you give them the soft serve with the gummy bears and all that garbage. Like you let them just go nuts, go to town.
Yeah.
I think that's my first attempt. That's my first attempt.
If you guys make peace, we're going to Bobo's.
Yes.
That's all you can tell.
Actually, when COVID's over, dude, that's the first thing we're doing. We're going to do a show from COVID or from Bobo's.
Right.
Should do a live show. I won't eat anything, of course, but we'll do a live show at Bobo's on Route 23.
Sounds amazing.
So
yeah.
I could eat for all three of us. So I'll be ready to go.
Dave brings his own plate.
I'm bringing multiple plates.
It's huge.
So my thought I was trying to think of how to tie them both together, and I kept going back to, but I don't have it. I don't have it perfect, but I'm gonna just say it anyway. All right. So I feel like a lot of the arguments in our household come from sharing, and they don't want to share what they have. The other wants to take a thing. I had it first. I need that. That's mine. What do you mean?
I see where you're going.
I'm going to keep this. Yeah. This is mine. I'm going to keep this. Sharing is a really good trait until over the past few months when the whole COVID-19 thing has happened. Now we're not allowed to share anything. From hugs to food to drinks to anything at all, particularly buffets. There are few greater enemies in the world right now than cruise ships, as we spoke about earlier, and buffets. So
I would say even before. I would say it was a secret sleeper of an enemy. We just didn't know, and now we know just how terrible this is. Yeah.
So my point is. I don't know what my point is. If the kids
this is deep. Keep going.
You tie it up for me. Someone grab it.
I know where you're going with this.
Take me to the finish line.
Basically, what we had is your kids are arguing over like the age-old argument that there's a scarcity of resources out there. They were out there just battling for like some stupid toy that they all couldn't have. And a buffet, what is it more than anything than our complete sign of hyperabundance that we have, where everybody gets everything that they want. That's what a buffet is. And what are we paying the price for? We're all sick as a dog and we can't leave the house. This doesn't tie up at all. I'm just stating facts now. And
I'm just proud of you, Josh, because you were so excited about this topic, and I feel like you put together something at the end there that made pretty good sense.
There's a thin line of a thought process there.
That's a plot for a movie.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's been worse. Ghostbusters 2.
How dare you?
Actually, the second one's pretty good. It's not so bad. Yeah.
Dave, any final tie-ins, or are we going to leave it with Josh?
Dave, you gotta tie us in here, dude. We can't.
I think I have the tie-in. It was actually my first thought of the buffet. So much food, but limited space on your plate. And when kids fight, it's like when you overcommit to those roasted potatoes right out the bat with your plate. You have to have moderation. You have to have forethought, strategy, see the big picture. And just explain that to your children. They'll have no idea what you're talking about. And
you did it. That's it. That's perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
I couldn't put it better myself.
When people listen back and they binge through all these episodes, this is the first one where you actually solved the problem at the very beginning of the episode. So your first words were also your last words, but they meant
like
so much
if you listen to this podcast backwards, it'll be just as good.
People are going to be quoting like words from this podcast in graduation speeches for years to come.
That's right.
They'll open up a graduation speech with like, on the Life of Dad podcast, they once described a buffet as a scarcity of resources, and they'll go on from there.
That's right. Josh, you're going to be like addressing like a graduating class somewhere. He'd be like, and remember, don't put too many potatoes on your plate.
Do not starch out your first time. Stick with the proteins and then go back. Like, you can keep going. Yeah.
Just be honest. Go have dessert first.
Hey, guys, be proud. You nailed it this episode. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to Life of Dad. Please check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Life of Dad, and of course at lifeofdad.com. And we want more people to listen to the show, so please leave a rating or a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening. Go Fatherhood.